Hey, let's go ahead and get started. My name is Sharat Chander. I'm part of the Java Platform Product Management and Developer Enablement team here at Oracle. Been a longtime user of Java, and we welcome you to our monthly Java webinar series. We offer this monthly. We try to cover as many topics as best we can to help increase your productivity as developers and as decision makers around Java. Today's webinar is being recorded. It will be available for on-demand replay, and we welcome all of you to take a look at past episodes that we've done. Feel free to either take a screenshot of the screen at the moment, or feel free to scan the QR code that we have here, where you can find out details about past recordings that we've done, but also information about future recordings that we're going to do in the future. So with that, every month we try to have unique topics, and what a way to sort of close out this calendar year where we have a few special guests, highly recognized Java developers in the Java ecosystem who have been nice enough to join us today. Obviously, in the past, many of these webinars have been Oracle talking to you, but today's webinar is going to have the community talking to you as far as how Java has shaped their careers, what Java means to them. We're very lucky to have Chandra Gunther from BNY Mellon Bank. We have Fabiani Nordon, Fabi from Tail Target, and we have both Gail and Paul Anderson from Anderson Software Group joining us today as well. So I'd like to thank all of our panelists for participating in today's webcast. Thank you so much. You can follow all of them also on social with their Twitter handle. And so with that, why don't we go ahead and get started? I'm also getting questions live in the Q&A, so feel free to post your questions there. And I actually already see several queued up. So let me see which one we can start with here. Obviously, you've all been longtime users of Java, and I think a great way to start is what Java really means for you. And I thought maybe, Fabiani, we could turn to you. What does Java really mean to you?
Hey, Sharat, thanks for the invitation, and hello, everybody. I'm here in Brazil, so this is going to be an international event. So Java, I've been using Java for many, many years, and I think what it means to me is that it's a platform that's very stable, that you can find lots of libraries built upon it, which makes a lot of difference when you're doing a new system, especially. It's a vibrant community. You can find open source software constructed with Java for many topics. It's a community that is very welcoming. It's probably the best community I was involved in my career. And so for a technical point of view, I think that Java is it's a language that nowadays offers a lot of performance. It's evolving. It's an ecosystem that is growing. And I think that to me, Java means more than a language, a platform that I can rely on to create my applications. So that's what Java means to me.
No, I appreciate that, Fabiani. And it's interesting. You said you're from Sao Paulo, Brazil. Thank you for joining us from that part of the world. The whole Latin American community is very important to Java. You're part of a very important Java user group down there in Sao Paulo, SuJava, which is really putting Java visibility to all of Latin America. And Chandra, you recently started restarted the Garden State Java user group, and I'm sure that's a very special thing for you to restart again. What does Java mean to you? I think you're on mute there, Chandra.
He's muted. My apologies there.
It's quite all right. Hey, you know what? We're doing this live, so there's no safety net. So we'll do the best we can. Feel free. Go ahead, Chandra.
Great, thank you. Thank you for having me here. Welcome to all the attendees. Thank you for the question, Shar. Just the ability to develop a program very quickly, have it communicable across the entire globe and have people understand it, being able to search for solutions across various landscapes, and the community outreach, which is amazing, makes Java a very developer-friendly language for us. in my world, a technical value is almost the same as a business value. And that is something we carry forward very, very much. And the ability to deliver solutions for our clients and customer base with the stability that Fabian mentioned earlier is something I deeply appreciate about using Java. The ability to get talent across diverse ecosystems across the world has made Java an extremely global language that I'm proud to be a part of and celebrate. That's my humble view. Back to you, Shar.
Appreciate that, Chandra. Gail, Paul, I've had the pleasure to know you as part of the Java ecosystem for many years. We won't give a timestamp on that, but many years. But you've been working in the Java ecosystem for many years. What does Java mean for you?
Paul, you start. Yeah, I'm going to come at this from a teaching standpoint about how wonderful Java has been for us and for me teaching and for our training company. I started out teaching C, and I always got feedback from the students that said, oh, these error messages that I'm getting at compile time, I don't understand them. L value required is one of my favorite. What's an L value, right? And then once they got their C programs running, then they would, or compiled, then they would run them and they'd get a segmentation violation. And then when I moved to C++ and did a lot of C++ training, I had a lot of people come up to me and say, Paul, this is really cool what you're showing us, but my brain hurts, right? There's just so much to learn and so much to keep track of. And I would tell people, I'd have to convince them, look, this is the best game in town right now, C programming and C++, you might have to put in your 10,000 hours to get good at it. But then Java came along. And all of a sudden, my students were coming to me and saying, hey, these compiler error messages are really good. I can understand them. And then when they ran the program, if an exception was thrown, they got a really nice stack trace where the methods were called and when they were called and where, line numbers. And people started really liking, and it made my job easier. So where I had to sell C and C++ to people to get things going, Java sold itself. People just enjoyed learning it, and they could see that it was really going to be fun. And I've had a great time teaching it.
It's quite a journey. What about you, Gail?
Okay, so from my point of view, Java's been around for 25 years, and it's been the stability of it that's been really important. The stability, the portability, and now we're seeing how it's improving. So it's always evolving, it's always improving. And my own experience has been more in the UI part of it. And so I've been seeing the evolution from Swing to JavaFX, and I'm really excited now about how JavaFX is evolving and becoming available in all sorts of platforms that I can talk about later. And I think just the release cadence has been probably better than people, even at Oracle, probably thought about. So congratulations. And thanks for having us. So.
Well, no, lovely to have all of you. Appreciate that accolade there, but obviously we make a lot of the decisions part and parcel by involving the ecosystem in decision making. And all of you come from different backgrounds, represent different industries, and so within the industry you're in, it'd be interesting to find out how Java is meaningful for you. So like Chandra, you're in banking, and banking requires a lot of high performance, but a lot of security and stability. What does Java mean for you in your industry segment?
Great, thank you for that question. So Java has a benefit of being omnipresent across various operating systems, application styles, and form factors. That is known, and that's not limited to just our industry here. But in areas of security, in areas of performance, resilience, compliance with all the standards that we have to follow in this sector, as well as cloud nativity, which is quickly becoming like the in thing for almost every part of our business, Java has proven to be a top shelf language, right? With the new tooling and libraries that we get out for, let us say, natural language processing, machine learning, visual recognition, hyperledger, I can keep throwing different things in here. Java continues to be a lingua franca for the software development in this sector. It's an excellent choice for systems such as fraud detection, investments, trading, wallets, and even chatbots, which are quite useful in the service industry. So I think overall, Java has made a very significant impact, and it's probably the biggest technology player in the financial sector in general.
Yeah, it's a lot of the necessities within the financial sector also carry over to other industries as well. Gail, Paul, in your business as teachers, as educators, but as consultants, you oftentimes, I believe, also run into public sector. How does Java become meaningful for that environment?
Yeah, so I was really fortunate. In 1997, I got to teach the first Java course for the U.S. Navy. And it was a Navy base back east for civilian developers, but they have to support the fleet. And there's a lot of complex software that has to be done to do that. And one of the things that they were doing was they were trying to do things in C++, and I was trying to teach object-oriented programming to simplify the complexity. And voila, one day a group came to me and said, "Hey, do you teach Java?" And I said, "You bet." Because I'd known, somebody had told me about it. And I said, "Well, what's the deal with this language? Why isn't it just like any other language?" Because Java forces you or requires you to do object-oriented programming when you write code. And that really got my attention. So I helped the Navy and the government folks learning all the object-oriented stuff, and then they could apply that in Java, and the government really enjoyed doing that, and also open source software. So over the years, I have been teaching the whole Java stack to these folks as Java continues to go along. For example, when Java 8 came out and it was functional programming, I helped them all with that as well. So Java's meant a lot to me for teaching, and particularly with the government and the Navy, which has been one of my biggest clients.
Yeah,
and let me just, oh, sorry.
No, it's okay, go good, please.
I was just going to add, and from my point of view, the industry that I see that is going to grow and has been growing is the mobile app industry, and Java is positioning itself really well with native images, IoT, AOT compilation, and JavaFX to go into the mobile app space ecosystem.
No, I appreciate that. There seems to be a bit of similarity because Fabiani, early in your career, you were deeply involved in adoption of open source technologies with the Brazilian government. What has that done and shaped to kind of drive the entire country of Brazil forward?
Yeah, I was also very fortunate that 16 years ago, I was part of the construction of the Brazilian, the state of São Paulo healthcare system that later became a national program. And this software is still running 16 years later. I know because last year I was vaccinated, and in the clinic, they were still using my system, and I hope next year when I get vaccinated for COVID, it's going to be using the same system. So you can see how Java is stable, and you still have, of course, there are other groups maintaining it. I'm not part of the system anymore, of the software anymore, but it's still running and working and solving problems. So at the time, using a language that was like Chander said, that had lots of talents available to keep the software running and to maintaining till today, it was very important. And I think this is part of the reason why it's still working and still solving the problems, because Java has this property of keeping evolving, and people are not giving up Java after just a few years because it's not fashion anymore. And right now in a completely different industry, I'm working with data science and machine learning and data engineering, and everything is done on Java. And I don't know if everybody knows, but some of the most used distributed processing tools using for data science are built in Java, like Hadoop, Spark, and things like that. So you can see that you can move from a very different field like healthcare and going to data science. That's completely different technologies, and you can still use the same language. And this is amazing.
All of us have had deeply entrenched careers in Java. But we know there's a whole new generation of developers that have multiple language choices and options in front of them. And we got a question here in the chat. So if I'm a developer starting out, why should I choose Java? And that's part A. And then part B, what book, if you have any, do you recommend? Chander, you want to take that one?
I can start, but I'm going to start with an amusing anecdote, at least amusing to me. So, so when I first was in my early days of my career, I was actually a teacher myself. I was teaching C++. And some of the software I got used a unzip program, and I requested for procurement of that program. It used to cost dollars, and I was refused. And when I reached out to our CEO back then, he said, well, if you can't download that, why don't you build one? And that's how I started with Java, and I built what is called JavZip, an equivalent. I don't want to name the other product, but that's how I started. So what I'm trying to tell you here is, hey, get started, do something, try something, have a problem, try to solve it using Java. Nothing can convince a developer better to use a language than a good use case where you try it out. Starting with the Java community process, if we are, spearheading the Java in Education program, to using code katas, which are simple exercises that let you grasp concepts, or to conducting workshop sessions, right? We try to engage, but it is up to you as a developer to actually come in and start doing things. We've tried to make things simple by, explaining tooling, explaining the software development lifecycle. But in the end, what I would suggest is my motto, which is docendo decimus, which means you can best learn by teaching. So start teaching, you'll find out where your gaps are, and you can learn. Books help, but unless you put your hands on the keyboard and do something, it'll just be bookish knowledge. That's my take. I'm not good with books, so I'm going to give it back to you. Someone else can probably.
Yeah, there's a rich collections of publications out there. I mean, where do we even start? But Fabiani, you're part of one of the largest Java user groups on the planet. SuJava, I think last time we took some sort of measurement, there was close to 40,000 plus members that are part of this user group. What is a good reason for Java developers of all kinds to sort of dip their toe in the Java waters and be part of this amazing ecosystem that we're all moving forward?
If you're starting with Java, I think the best advice I can give you is be part of a Java user group. These are groups that really help when you are starting, because you are going to meet other Java developers. They are going to, for sure, to help you either even find new jobs or exchanging experiences. So in the So Java, our Java user group, it's very common to have meetings to where you can talk to other people. Right now everything is online, but I miss the time we had face-to-face conversations. And if you're going to be part of this ecosystem, you can know that you are going to be welcomed. This is very important. And if you join a Java user group, you're probably going to find lots of very valuable information and very good networking. And you're going to find out that this is a group that really helps each other. I only had good experiences with Java user groups. I had the experience of visiting several user groups around the world, which it's amazing. I've been to New York and other user groups. And so if you join this ecosystem, you can know that there is a community behind you, and people are looking for new experience, for new people. And you're not going to be, you're for sure, you're not going to feel alone. If you want to participate, you're going to have help, and you're going to be able also to contribute, because one thing that's excellent in the Java community is that people also like to have contributions from others. And this is not common in other communities. There are some communities that are more closed, and it's very hard to contribute, but it's not the case for Java. So I think it's very, for people that are starting their career, it's a community that is going to teach you a lot.
Yeah, you know, in 25 years, just to see how large the Java ecosystem has grown, sometimes we have to step back and just be very thoughtful about just how much work and time we've collectively done. Because obviously the technology is the one that has binded us together, but we learn better by sharing. And, you know, that's sort of been the tenet around Java for 25 years, which is this notion of sharing and collaboration and communication. You know, Gail, Paul, in your teaching expertise, how do you get you know, new students entrenched in this amazing technology?
Well, yeah, one time I ran into somebody that in one of my advanced Java courses, and I I asked them, how did you learn Java? And they said Stack Overflow. And I went, really? I mean, that's kind of not really what you want to use it for, right? But I agree with Fabiani. That being a member of the Java user group is a great way to meet people and to learn about the technologies. But having a good book is a good thing too. And there's a lot of good online books. But you know, I can just say that the books that I've used in my courses that I've had a lot of success with is the Core Java series by Kai Horstman. And also Kai has a book on Java for the Impatient, which is also a lot, which is really good for people that maybe are coming into Java from Python. Maybe they already know another language, let's say. So, you know, they don't want to be possibly a newbie, but they want to learn what is about the language that I can really do. But yeah, you know, and there's a lot of good blogs out there too, written by people that have a lot of good things to say and a lot of techniques that you can do. I use those all the time myself.
And I'd like to add that there are a lot of online tutorials, and some people learn better by watching videos, and some people learn better by reading books or reading blogs. Everybody has a different learning style. And when we get conferences back, yay, I also recommend that people try and find a conference that they can, I mean, there are conferences that are online now, but the conferences that are in person are really good too, because you can actually meet the speakers and maybe get a feeling of how they do their job, and the user groups help with that too. You meet other people. Paul and I attended a San Diego users group at the beginning of the year, I guess, or maybe it was last year. And there were people there saying, we're hiring. So if you're looking for a job, go to a user group, and they're looking for Java programmers. So I'm sure it's still the same.
Yeah, I'm sure your personal DMs on Twitter are probably filled with requests for, can you help me find a career in Java in this industry? Or can you help me with this homework problem? Or can you help me with so many various, you know, boundaries within that space? I can only imagine what your private DMs must look like in terms of that regard, considering your prominence in the community. You know, go ahead, please.
One more thing is that if people are looking at different languages and considering Java as opposed to some other languages, one nice feature that Java has is its stability. It's not going away. It's very entrenched in, as Chandra said, in lots of the banking industry and the health industry that Fabi said, and it's out there. So it's a stability factor.
Very true. You know, all of you had mentioned the release cadence in some way early in some of your comments. And so, you know, since we've moved to a 6-month release cadence, what value do you see in that release cycle? And what are some of the new emerging features that you've discovered over the last 3 years since shifting to a 6-month release cadence? Maybe Chandra, you want to take that?
Sure, thank you. I'm personally excited about the growth of algebraic data types in Java. That's a big plus for me. In addition to that, the addition of preview features, experimental features, and incubation features make for an excellent interactive model where there is a feedback loop, and you can now go back to the JDK development team and suggest features or find out more about it before it becomes productionized. Personally, I'm also very excited about the interfacing for garbage collectors and the interfacing for compilers, which means Java is going to grow by leaps and bounds going forward. I'm also very excited about the new garbage collectors, of course. But yeah, those are some of the things I immediately feel as quick benefits that have added to Java becoming more stable, more attractive.
Yep. Gail, Paul, again, because of your teachings, what are some of the, aspects of modern Java that are of popularity to the customers and the students that you teach with?
Okay, yeah, so concurrency, that's a big thing. I get a lot of my students and clients want me to teach concurrency patterns and so forth. So I'm excited about the Project Loom, which is virtual threads. And traditionally, a thread in Java, by the way, was always built on top of an OS thread. So there was some overhead for that. But with the virtual threads, they're going to be created and managed internally by the VM. So instead of having a maximum of thousands of threads and a thread pool that you use, we're literally going to be able to have millions of these virtual threads. And that's really going to help in the cloud and on the web, and with a lot of the emerging things that are going to be happening.
And when people have programs that deal with data, the idea of records and the pattern matching with instance of is going to be very, very helpful. I was listening to one of the webinars that said that should have people be able to eliminate all of their castings. And that's a good thing. And then I wanted to just, again, emphasize how beneficial I think this six-month release cycle is. And if people want to say, well, why? It's kind of like the difference between a subway system and an airport. So if you show up at the subway station and you've missed the train, you just wait for the next one. It's no big deal. Maybe you're 5 minutes later. If you show up at the airport and you missed your plane, you got to get a hotel, you got to change your schedule. It's a big deal. So this 6-month release cycle means that the features get in that are ready for that release. And if they miss it, they just wait for the next one. So kudos to those guys.
No, appreciate that. Fabiani, with TailTarget as a data scientist, there must be some new modern Java features that are really attractive to you.
Yeah, I was going to mention, as Gail said, records are going to be huge for us, because right now, for the ones that don't know what records are, imagine that you have a data class that you don't have to do getters and setters, and it's very easy to build new data classes. And this for data science and for data engineer, it's going to be huge. It's going to be a lot more productive, and I think it's going to be a huge difference in the next years.
All of you have mentioned the technology value of Java, the value of the ecosystem. We have a question that also came in. Besides joining a Java user group, how can I get involved in Java? Fabiani, you meet a lot of Java developers. Maybe you want to start off with that one.
Yeah, so if you want to get started on Java, you can, one thing that's going to be awesome for you to build a name in the community and also to learn is try to collaborate with an open source project. I know if you're just starting, maybe it's going to be difficult to really contribute, but maybe you can fix a bug and submit the fix, or you can help with documentation or things that are smaller, but this is a way for you to get to know really well done source code. And this is going to be it's going to make you a better developer. So if you are starting by yourself, probably your first code is going to be really bad, or bad performance, not with good practices. So looking at more stable and more well done open source code that's out there, and trying to understand the techniques and how the code is organized, and trying to contribute, it's going to help you to create more experience and to learn from others. And actually many companies hire from people that contribute to open source software. So especially if you are contributing to a software that has a big company behind it, if you do good contributions over time, it's very likely that you're going to have a job offer very soon. So this is a really a good way to become a very good Java developer. Besides that, try to start doing something. It's the best way to learn. It's try to program and to create new software, and try to maybe share what you built as an open source code, so other people can look at what you've done and contribute. So if I was starting today, that's the path I would take. I would try to contribute to open source software and learn from them.
Gail, Paul, we've touched so many Java developers around the world. Even if you've been or had the longevity that we have in the ecosystem, what would you recommend someone who has had that longevity in terms of how they can participate even more?
Well, there's also the Java community process, and that is a way where people can get involved in future things that will end up in the Java language. And so it's a way to meet other people and to see what other people are designing and to participate at that level.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I totally agree with what Gail said too. I did want to add something that what Fabiana was talking about. I think that's exactly a very good suggestion, that if somebody wants to learn Java and get into it, to get on an open source project. But some people might be too shy to do that. So I tell people, write a game or a tool yourself in Java, and because a game and a tool is going to force you to think about your data structures and how you would approach the design, and then you write the code, and then after you write the code, then you'll be able to compare your code more with code that you see out there, and then you'll become a better developer and you'll be more proficient with the language. So I tell my students, think of a tool that you need and write it in Java, or a game, a cribbage game or something like that. Yeah.
Hey, Chander, you've been a mentor to many Java developers, whether they've started out or, again, also have longevity. What is it that you do to sort of like give them suggestions as far as that starting point or a continual point?
That's a very good question. Thank you. So as Gail and Paul already mentioned, the JCP Executive Committee and JCP itself, the Java community process, are excellent places to participate in. There are frequent meetings. I'm one of the representatives for my organization. And that's a great initiative to go look at what is happening in the industry. What is the future of Java? In addition, there is also a Java and education process. So what we're doing is now an outreach program for colleges and universities to start focusing on Java as being a tool of choice when the developers are still students. So we start from a bit more grassroots level than it's been done in the past. In addition, as both Gail, Paul, and Fabi, for that matter, mentioned, community involvement is very important. Participate in your jug groups, participate in meetups, and when conferences come back in, crossing my fingers, please do go attend conferences and speak with the speakers and the other audience, whoever you want to learn from. Blog, social media, use those facilities. Oftentimes what I found is I have blog based upon my personal knowledge. And there is someone out there who's got more knowledge than me who will chance upon my blog, read something, find out that I'm saying something wrong, and teach me. And this is one of the best things I can hope for. It's not that I'm teaching someone else. I am getting to learn and correct my mistakes because I have put myself out there and I'm sharing my thoughts. In addition to all this, also work on your soft skills a bit. That's quite important in most industries. Having a consistent, let's say, a GitHub profile, a Twitter handle that are, consistent, not and easily mentionable in, let us say, a professional environment goes a very long way. These are things that help. These are some things that I've been sharing with my mentees, and they've been doing amazing things already. I'm very encouraged by what they do. I personally believe that there are very few other languages that has this level of community engagement. There may be others, but not at this level of community engagement, impacting, let us say, 12 to 13 million developers that the Java ecosystem has. So very proud to be a part of this.
I appreciate you all being so transparent with your personal stories and your suggestions. We have a little bit of time left, and I wanted to kind of close out in terms of and this is a little bit tied to a question we got. What is something humorous or inspirational that you can share around Java at a personal level? And I thought, Fabiani, maybe we can start with you.
Something yours. I can tell you how I became a speaker at Java One. I was working with a friend of mine, and he had gone to Java One in the year before, and that's not Java One anymore. Now it's Code One, but at the time it was a huge Java conference, the biggest Java conference in the world, and he had a very nice backpack. And I said, how can I get one of these backpacks? And he said, you have to submit a talk to Java One, and then if you go to Java One, you get a backpack. Then I submitted that talk to Java One, it was accepted. And this was how I got my first Java backpack that I still have. I think it's maybe 14 years old or 15 years old, but it's still my favorite backpack from Java.
No, so that's great. You know, backpacks, especially any backpack with Java that I see around the world, I oftentimes can identify the year of that event, whether it was Java One or Code One, or even the multitude of third-party Java conferences out there. It's an instant way to recognize which event that was at and the fact that it was standing behind all things Java. Gail, Paul, personal story that you'd like to share as we close out.
One of the stories that I'd like to tell was when we were at JCREAT, and we were involved with JCREAT for Kids. So it was and I wanted to add too that getting kids like 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds involved in Java is a really rewarding thing. And Paul and I volunteered, and we had a group of like, I think there were like 11, 12-year-old girls, and it was like 3 of them. And they were programming Raspberry Pi with Java effects, and it was, Mary had a little Lambda, and they got to fiddle around with some of the parameters. And, you know, there were like 2 sheep, 3 sheep, and they put in something like 200, and it crashed the program. They were mortified. And I said, no, this is good. This is what you're doing is good. And I explained to them about the whole software testing industry and all that kind of stuff. And so it was fun.
Yeah, and JCREAT, you're referencing the unconference on the island of Crete in Greece. JCREAT put on by Heinz Kibbutz, another luminary in the Java ecosystem. Fantastic unconference. It's great that you were able to attend. Paul, a personal story you'd like to share?
Yeah, one of the most exciting things that I got to do at the conference was play in the Noel Pointers band. So Gail and I actually do that. We're in the band, and when conferences come back, we're really looking forward to playing again. But you know, at the time that happened, you know, we had been speaking a lot, and it was really fun to see all of our colleagues and everything. But it was really fun. We have a saying in the band too: make sure you catch the Noel Pointers; they're exceptional. And we've done that many times. But yeah, hopefully when the conferences come back, and a lot of people can go there, you know, we'll be up there playing our music and with other Java champions and other people as well.
Great. Chander, why don't you close it out for us?
Well, I can relate to something that is quite humorous to myself. It's self-deprecating in a bit. This is a few years back. I attended a conference. I was not yet a speaker back then. I was an attendee, and I chanced upon someone sitting at a restaurant, and we got into a conversation, and I was explaining to them about community and developer engagement. Little did I know that this person's name was Sharat Chander. So he was very nice. He was kind. He was listening patiently. He did nod and give me more tips and suggestions. And in the end, he told me who he was, and that's how we became friends. So thank you, Sharat.
No, boy, what do I say after that other than I'm more than humbled that we have this recognition that what makes Java so important is the technology itself, but also the ecosystem behind it. It's a pleasure to have all of you involved in the community. I'm very thankful that you're helping to continue to grow out the community and the ecosystem in terms of fostering greater understanding of all of the innovation that's happening. but also that in terms of that collaboration and communication about why Java really matters. So, I want to thank all of our panelists today for giving us their personal stories, their personal journey. Again, we'll be doing these webinars monthly to bring more technical information that will resonate with developers and decision makers, and hopefully bring more personal stories to the equation. So as we close out the last Java webcast of this year, I want to thank all of you for your time and look forward to seeing all of you online in 2021. So Chandra, Gail, Paul, Fabiani, thank you so much and have a happy holiday.
Thank you. Wish you all the same.
Thank you.